What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got some football focus. The Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday finished up their Week 11 matchup of the 2024 NFL season on Ravens Week, the divisional matchup at home against the Ravens, AFC North, two top teams battling it out. Ravens coming in at 7-3, Pittsburgh coming in at 7-2. First things first, I want to apologize. I know you guys look forward to these, especially the divisional ones, the physical ones like Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Watched the game at a buddy's house with a bunch of friends, stayed out hanging out with a bunch of friends last night, and then this morning I had some dental flare-ups from dental surgery. Then I had some house renovations this morning, guys banging around outside, making noise, so I couldn't record. So I was swollen, and then it was loud. So here we are about 27 hours after the game. I apologize for the late review, but Pittsburgh at home played against division rival Baltimore, and it was everything you would expect it to be. Low scoring, chippy, playing to the echo of the whistle, fights after the whistle, hard hits, guys coming in and out of the game, a couple brief injuries. Thankfully, nobody was hurt long-term as far as I know right now, but a very physical, low-scoring game. Points at a premium, lots of field goal attempts. It was just one of those games that Pittsburgh has not had very many games this year where both sides of the ball, offense and defense, were playing equally effectively. And this game, so far, Russell Wilson, for the most part, through his first 3 games coming into this game, the offense was on point and the defense kind of struggled. In this game, the defense was on point and the offense struggled. So the offense came out, a lot of solid drives, hurt by penalties, lots of holding calls today. We'll talk about the offensive line today. Russell didn't have a ton of time. The line was allowing a lot of interior pressure, guys getting off the edge pretty quick on our tackles as well. The wide receivers not getting open very much. So some drives got turned over by penalties, causing second and third and longs. Some other drives we got downfield but had to settle for a field goal because we couldn't punch it in the end zone. But still, all in all, for most of the first half, we're up 6-0. All of a sudden, Baltimore comes down, gets a touchdown drive toward the end of the half with Derrick Henry. And then all of a sudden, Pittsburgh plays a near-perfect defensive half, controls the ball, and seems to be way ahead, and it winds up being 7-6 Baltimore. Then a big turnover allows us to get the ball back in Baltimore's red zone toward the end of the half, go up 10-7 or go up 9-7, and then pretty much play the field goal game back and forth for the rest of the game, staying up by 2 points with the ball, trying to hold the ball, playing a cleaner game offensively as far as allowing pressures, but still not getting anything major aside from field goals. Defensively, though, you got to feel good. In spite of some big plays last week, we didn't allow a ton for a very explosive Washington offense. And this week, we didn't allow a ton from a very explosive Baltimore offense. The leading offense, essentially, in the league in some categories. Lamar Jackson was below 50% passing in this game, a rarity for him. Only ran for 40 yards, a rarity for him. Finished with just over 200 yards, all in all, so didn't have a very explosive offensive game like he usually does. But all in all, the final score winds up being 18-16. It is the second game this season that Pittsburgh did not score a touchdown in and still won. It is the second game this year in which Chris Boswell, easy for me to say, had at least 5 field goals in a single game. I think that might be a record. Twice in a season, 5+ field goals with no touchdowns leading to 2 victories. Boswell gets the biggest game star out of anyone. Game ball goes to Boswell for sure, but let's go to the stats and we'll talk more in depth about each position. Russell Wilson, 23 of 36, 205 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. The 1 interception, I'm going to blame that more so on Darnell Washington. He was being targeted a little more today by Wilson downfield, which is nice. But the play in which Wilson got the interception, he was scrambling around, he broke a sack, spun around to the outside, reverse field, stood around. It was one of those 7 to 8 second plays where Russell extended it, then was trying to kind of force it a bit, threw it to the back of the end zone where Darnell Washington was one-on-one, threw it a little behind where Washington was, but Darnell kind of just lost the ball in the air, didn't really locate it, didn't backpedal to the spot of the ball, and that allowed for an interception in Pittsburgh's red zone, so a very untimely turnover, taking points off the board for us at a crucial time. That being said, while Russell probably shouldn't have thrown it, that interception to me goes on Washington. If you're a big giant guy and you see a one-on-one matchup and the ball's coming toward you, you backpedal to the spot of the ball and use your body to box out. He tossed it up one-on-one because Washington is 6'5" and 250 for a tight end. This dude is a tank. This guy is a freaking horse. and should have, at the very least, either boxed out and batted the ball away if it was over his head, or boxed out and got the touchdown. So while the ball probably shouldn't have been thrown, he had a one-on-one matchup with a much taller guy on our team that should have either, at the very least, knocked that ball away and not allowed the interception. So I'm going to put that one more on Washington. That being said, still threw for 205, no touchdowns, 1 pick today, so not as gaudy numbers as he has had for the last pretty much everything since the second half of the Jets game, plus the last 2 weeks. Also going to include this in here, Justin Fields. Doesn't throw any passes, but he plays 3 plays. 2 of those are rushes for 17 yards. Big kudos to Tomlin and the offense for putting in the Justin Fields package. We've talked about this for a few weeks now. Finally, he comes in on all 3 of the plays were shotgun handoff options. The first 2 of which were fakes in which he took the ball and ran. One, he slid a little bit too soon, almost got the game-winning first down, but slid too early. And then the very next play, he hands it off to Najee Harris, who gets the first down to go on to seal the victory. But Justin Fields taking 3 plays, 1 being a handoff to Najee, 2 being handoffs that he kept for himself. Really, really well done. For as many times as we got ourselves into the red zone in this game, I would have liked to have seen a few more Justin Fields plays, but since the 3-play package worked very well and resulted in 3 first downs for us in this game, I think they will do it a little more. So good use of Justin Fields in this game. Najee Harris runs 18 carries for 63 yards, also catches 4 passes for 30 yards. Jaylen Warren runs a little more successfully, 9 carries for 41 yards, also catches 4 passes for 27 yards. So running backs in the passing game, good checkdowns, a lot of first downs on checkdown plays, smart decisions by Russell not forcing the ball and getting the running backs opportunities in the open field to make some plays. Both Najee and Warren did well there. Najee running the ball, not terribly successful. Warren slightly better, but both had a couple of good runs on their own. A lot of that was the offensive line today. But let's talk wide receivers first because they go into this part as well. George Pickens leads the way with 8 catches for 89 yards, gets a nice one-on-one 30-yard catch downfield like he does every single week, takes another catch and curl down the field where he breaks a tackle and turns a 9-yard gain into a 20-plus yard gain. Got to watch holding that ball out with his one hand. When he turns to go downfield, he always holds that ball out with one hand. He has already fumbled this season twice, including once because of the one-hand ball hold. Tuck that ball away, kid. I love breaking tackles. I love getting down the sidelines and looking for bigger plays. But when you catch that ball one-on-one, tuck that ball because guys coming from around the corner and from behind are going to look for that strip. And it's already happened once to him this season. Got to watch that ball. But 8 for 89 looks good. Second biggest receiver of the day was Darnell Washington. In spite of his one bad play where he didn't locate the ball in the end zone, he did make 2 plays downfield on slant routes in the middle of the field, one-on-one, getting himself open, using his body. 2 catches, 42 yards. Really, really nice 21 yards per catch average on those 2 in the middle of the field. Russell's not a big middle of the field tight end guy, but if you're going to let Washington start running some routes and using his big body to make some tough catches, that is a very advantageous mismatch in our favor. Not talking the best today. Now, that being said, when your second best receiver is your backup tight end and your third and fourth best receiver are your 2 running backs, you got a bit of an issue. George Pickens aside here because he played pretty well today in spite of having 1 drop where he didn't tap his toe on the sideline for a short catch. Other than that, we got to see guys getting open more. The 2 problems on offense today, the biggest 2 issues for us, were the offensive line allowing a lot of pressures. Even guys that weren't getting sacks, just getting pushed in the backfield, interiorly and exteriorly on the offensive line, plus getting some penalties. So either they allowed 4 sacks, I think all of which were in the first half. They got a little better in the second half. But Dan Moore and Broderick Jones, bad games. Broderick allowed at least 1.5 sacks on his side, plus 2 penalties. Dan Moore allowed, I think, 2 sacks on him. And then I believe, was it Sayamalu got the other one? Sayamalu had a penalty, and then I think it was either Sayamalu or the center Frazier that allowed another sack. So not great interiorly, really bad on Broderick and Dan Moore. Broderick's second worst game of the year, Dan Moore's worst game of the year. They didn't play great, not allowing Russell Wilson a lot of space. But again, the receivers weren't getting open. Calvin Austin had 1 catch for -1 yard. Mike Williams, I think, only had 1 target. He played a lot more on snaps out there, but he still wasn't really running a ton of routes downfield, and they were allowing Ben Skoranek to take a lot of his snaps. So I don't know where Scotty Miller is. Obviously, Roman Wilson's out for the year. Calvin did nothing. Van Jefferson did nothing. Mike Williams did nothing. Skoranek caught one pass downfield, making him the second leading wide receiving target in the wide receiver room on this team today. Offensive line, wide receivers, no good. Receivers got to get open. Lions got to block better. 2 negatives there. Defensively, some big splash plays. First Ravens drive of the game. Nick Herbig in there playing for Highsmith gets a forced fumble in which Deshaun Elliott recovers against his old team. Good to see Elliott and Patrick Queen playing well against their old team. Herbig forces one, Elliott recovers, getting us a field goal. Then later on in the game, Patrick Queen changing momentum after the Ravens score and start getting the lead at 7-6. Patrick Queen then rips the ball out, gets his arm in, pulls the ball away on a screenplay, rips the ball out for a forced fumble, then follows it and recovers his own fumble. So forced fumble and fumble recovery for Patrick Queen. That's 3 games in a row. He's been on fire. I think Russell Wilson being in and the offense getting more opportunities on top of Patrick Queen getting more familiar, he's getting better and better. He's around the ball more. He's tackling better. He's hitting better. Choosing the right gaps and going for it, and now he's forcing turnovers as well. So Patrick Queen hitting on all cylinders for this team. Peyton Wilson also gets a big interception as Baltimore's driving down the field. Peyton Wilson goes on a play where he's against the backup running back, Justice Hill, who's kind of running a wheel route down the field. He gets ahead of Wilson. Wilson doesn't get his head around, but he does get his hand up between Justice Hill's hands, forces the ball out as they're going to the ground, rips it away, and gets the interception off the running back in the air. Beautifully athletic play. Good to see a guy like Peyton Wilson, who's been getting a little less time when Pittsburgh plays the rushing teams. When Pittsburgh goes against teams like divisional teams and teams that are rush heavy, Peyton Wilson plays less because Landon Roberts is the better running back, tackle, downhill guy. Peyton Wilson making the most of his pass coverage opportunity in this game. So Peyton Wilson with the INT. 2 sacks in the game, 1 for TJ Watt, 1 for Dean Lowry. Good to see Lowry making plays. He also got a batted ball in this game. Also 2 batted balls for Cam Hayward as well. So lots of guys batting balls. Big bounce back week for both JPJ, Joey Porter Jr. No penalties and a very good run of things today against Zay Flowers. Flowers did have 2 nice catches. Only one of those was on Porter. Dante Jackson played healthy for most of this game. Porter did go out at one point with injury and come back in. Both the starting corners played pretty well today. Good to see them returning back after a pretty bad game last week, especially Porter Jr. But like I said, the star of the game was Chris Boswell, 6 for 6, including 3 50-plus yard field goals and a long of 57, which I believe ties his high for this year. So 6 for 6 for Boswell. I believe he's now 29 of 30 for the year with just 1 miss in 30 attempts. In my opinion, he is the best kicker right now in the NFL as of this year. Justin Tucker was the best of all time for years and years and years. Justin Tucker is a legend, Hall of Famer. This has been his down year. He's kind of starting Father Time's catching up to him. He's starting to slow down. He has not had a great year. He did miss 2 kicks in this game, keeping us in it. Again, whenever you're down 18-16, you're down by 2 points, and you miss 2 field goals, that's 6 points. That's a big swing of the game. He blamed the field for it. I blame Justin Tucker's age. Great kicker. Even now he's still good, but missed 2 in this game helped us out a lot. Overall, really good game for Boswell, not so great for Justin Tucker. Corliss Waitman, 4 punts for 226 total yards. That is can't read my own writing. Is that 56? 56.5 per punt average. Phenomenal. One of those inside the 20. Boomers today for the special teams. Played well overall. So that being said, Pittsburgh comes off of their big win against Washington and gets a big win in the division against Baltimore. They've had Lamar Jackson's number, and getting this home win against a division rival in a close game like this, holding off as Baltimore comes down to get within 2 points, and then Joey Porter Jr. makes a big tackle on the 2-point conversion, and Pittsburgh is now moving to 8-2. Baltimore, Cleveland, and Cincinnati all lost yesterday. Pittsburgh is now a game and a half up over the Ravens, plus the tiebreaker head-to-head so far. We do have 2 more consecutive divisional games, including one in just 3 days. At this point, 2 days, as I'm recording and uploading this, against Cleveland. That game's going to be late for me as well. I'm going to have to record that game ahead of time. I've got a red carpet film event thing I'm going to on Thursday night. So I'm recording the game, watching either Thursday night or Friday morning, and I'll bring you guys the review at some point on Friday. I apologize for the delay. But Pittsburgh goes into a Thursday night game against Cleveland, another divisional game going into Cleveland. So that'll be interesting. But Pittsburgh is at 8-2 right now, coming off 2 statement wins in a row, and things feel good. What stands out to you and who stands out to you? Tell me in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like these Steeler deep dives. I apologize for the delays, and I will see you guys again soon. Steelers are on a roll.